Hey guys, Brad Danger here, and I want to be very clear up front because people get emotional about this fast. This is not a Porsche is dead take. That's not collapse. Collapse is when the part of the business that pays for everything else starts disappearing, and that's exactly what's happening right now. Porsche isn't losing China in the dramatic headline-friendly way people actually imagine. They're not being kicked out. They're not being banned. They're not being rejected on taste. They're losing scale. And after a couple of days of research, I found this fascinating because losing scale is far more dangerous than losing prestige. Porsche, they don't survive on halo cars. It never has. The 911 is its image, not the foundation. The foundation are Macans, Cayennes, Panameras, and now EVs that were supposed to replace them. Volume, luxury. When volume goes away, well then everything else quietly starts shrinking behind it. Dealer networks, staff, investment, infrastructure, relevance. What I and you have probably been watching in China isn't Porsche being hated, it's Porsche being skipped. The ultra wealthy still buy badges. They always will. That doesn't save a company. The moment the middle of the market stops justifying the price, the math, it breaks, even if the brand still looks prestigious on Instagram. That's why you're seeing dealers close instead of expand. This isn't even a retreat that they're going to announce, and the reason it's happening is almost nothing to do with nationalism, politics, or anti-foreign sentiment. It has everything to do with EVs. For most of Porsche's modern history, their advantage was mechanical. They were better at internal combustion than almost anyone. They understood power delivery, heat management, drivability, and chassis tuning at a level that justified their pricing, even when the numbers didn't always look dominant on paper. That advantage mattered because ICE cars are complex, hundreds of moving parts, decades of refinement, hard-earned institutional knowledge. EVs erased that overnight. When you remove internal combustion, you remove the area Porsche spent generations mastering. You flatten the field. Suddenly, the fight isn't about valve timing or engine character. It's about battery, software, integration, and manufacturing scale. That shift didn't just change propulsion, it changed who is good at making cars.
And guys, real quick, Rocky from New York already drove off with the first GTR and the bonus cash that changed his life. We literally flew him out here. He hung out with us for the whole weekend. We shipped his car back home to New York, and the dude had the time of his life. It genuinely changed everything for him. And now it's your turn. If you want a shot at winning your dream car plus bonus cash, hit the link in the pinned first comment right now. Now, back to the show.
Chinese manufacturers didn't just catch up to Porsche. They were already built for the new battlefield. Massive engineering teams, vertically integrated supply chains, battery expertise, software-first development cycles. They're cheap because the companies making them are optimized for exactly this type of product. That's why the old explanation falls apart. Yes, intellectual property was shared. Yes, Western companies train future competitors. That's part of the story, but it doesn't explain what's happening now. What actually happened is that Western brands optimized for short-term margin while China optimized for long-term capability. When EVs arrived, that divergence became impossible to hide. Porsche didn't suddenly get worse at building cars. The definition of a good car changed faster than Porsche could. And nowhere is that more obvious than software. That is the part that Porsche people hate talking about because it exposes a mindset problem. Porsche still treats software like trim. That approach is lethal in the EV world. Software isn't a feature anymore. It's the production, it's the ownership experience, it's how the car evolves after you buy it. What I see and what other Porsche owners feel is that Porsche software, it's slow, locked down, and stubbornly conservative. Updates are delayed or withheld. User experience lacks brands that cost dramatically less. And when customers complain, the unspoken response is basically buy a new one. It's probably a little bit better, but not really. That worked when the car itself was the whole value proposition. It does not work when buyers expect their car to improve continuously. In China, especially, that expectation isn't optional. People are used to fast iteration, constant updates, ecosystems that grow around the product. They don't accept to pay more to get less responsiveness. That's why the Taycan problem is so revealing. On paper, it should have been Porsche's EV moment. Instead, well, it exposed how uncomfortable Porsche is in a software-driven world. When buyers cross-shop something half the price and walk away feeling like the cheaper car understands daily life better, brand equity evaporates fast. Which brings us to the pricing, the quiet killer. Porsche didn't wake up one day and decide to overprice everything. It crept lifestyle creep, if you could say it, right? Margins improved, demand stayed strong, every generation nudged higher, six figures became normal. Cars that were merely good were priced like masterpieces. That strategy, well, it does work as long as buyers believe the premium still buys something unique. Once that belief breaks though, volume disappears immediately. A $300,000 Turbo S still sells because it doesn't pretend to be rational. It's an emotional purchase. A $150,000 pretty good EV, well, lives and dies on value proposition. That's where Porsche, they got hurt in this whole thing. The middle of the lineup collapsed first, not because the cars were bad, but because the justification disappeared. Comfortable performance, better tech, better daily usability, and dramatically lower prices snapped the spell. That isn't losing prestige, and once that goes, scale goes with it. The charging network shutdown is a perfect example of how this looks from the outside. It's easy to dismiss it by the numbers. 200 chargers don't matter in a country with over 1 million people. Well, that's China, but that misses the point entirely because infrastructure isn't about coverage, it's about commitment. Building and maintaining your own network tells buyers you're planning to be there, that you're invested, that you expect growth. Shutting it down doesn't save money. It sends a very clear message. It says you're not planning to win at scale, that you're comfortable shrinking, that you'll rent presence instead of building it. That might make sense financially in the short term. Strategically though, it tells buyers everything that they need to know. And finally, the part that worries me personally after doing a ton of research the most, Porsche's current strategy feels late and conflicted. On one hand, they're cutting dealers, reducing staff, and pulling back infrastructure. On the other though, they're opening R&D centers and promising localized fixes years down the road. That is not decisive, it's reactive. Meanwhile, competitors iterate monthly, loyalty resets instantly, software updates don't wait for facelifts or generational cycles. Hesitating on future platforms, retiring ICE products before replacements are truly competitive, trying to retrofit old thinking into new architectures. From the outside, it doesn't look confident. It looks like a brand caught between what it was great at and what it needs to be good at now without fully committing to either. So here's kind of my clean takeaway. Without emotion, Porsche didn't lose China because Chinese cars are cheaper, which they are, and they're definitely now better. You see, EVs moved the battlefield from heritage and mechanical depth to software, integration, speed, and value. Porsche still has the badge, but badges don't carry volume forever. And when volume disappears, exits don't happen loudly. They happen quietly, while everyone is still arguing about if anything is wrong at all. So guys, what do you think about Porsche pulling out of China? Let me know in the comments down below. And are there any Porsche Taycan replacements that you've been eyeing and wish they would come to the US? Well, there's a couple that I have. So let me know in the comments down below as well. And remember to go to Win This Ideal Car to get entered to win your dream car plus bonus cash. I'm Brad Danger. This is Ideal. Like, subscribe, turn on that notification bell. Check out a couple of these Ideal vids over here and promise me one thing. Keep living the ideal lifestyle.